Hey, we're back. There's this cardinal tapping at the window across the house over there. You can't hear it, but he's pretty aggressive today. Uh, and he just started up while I'm trying to start this up. It's like a friend, that cardinal. He doesn't tap as much anymore. It's kind of weird. He's been tapping for maybe 6 weeks or longer. The very first 2 weeks it started, um, he would tap at that one window, but he taps at all the windows. He's tapped at these windows. Sometimes, he'll be like attached to the screen on the other side of the window there. It's a strange situation. I don't know what to make of it. I spent a lot of time thinking about it when it happened, and I was mourning the loss and of a neighbor, and then eventually an animal around here, and this cardinal. And there's all kinds of superstition and stuff about cardinals, what it means when they come back and all that. But this cardinal is beyond any of those, I think, ideas, because he's got his own agenda, and it's just to tap at my window at times. I made a video about it, or I put the proof of what I'm about to say here on a video on Instagram at the end of a video. And so the cardinal was tapping on my window in the beginning for about 2 weeks straight. From He would wake me up, and I wake up early. I would be waking up to these little taps. There's a white birch tree right outside that window that he normally sits on, but there's all kinds of places over there he'll go to. He'll sit on this rock, these other trees, and he'll just like, there's 4 feet or so, 5 feet between the tree and the window, and he'll just tap and go back and sit on the branch, and tap and go back and sit on the branch. And for the first 2 weeks, he was doing that literally hundreds and hundreds of times a day. There was poop all over the window, poop all over that area there. There's other spots that he would sit, this rock on this other window. That wasn't the only window though. He would tap on this other window. He would mainly tap on my bedroom window where me and my animals, sleep. Um, but like I said, he would tap these windows back here. I don't know what the deal was, the reflection theory. He saw his reflection. But other birds have tapped too. Like, I don't know what, I've identified at least another cardinal and like this yellow bird, unless that was yeah, tapped as well once. So but the one, like, I feel like I can identify. I followed that bird a few times over, like in the beginning, trying to make sense of why he was tapping so much. And everyone was like, or this guy Ruben. I don't know if I ever brought Ruben up um here on these recordings, but Ruben was telling me to, the bird was telling me something. He was going to take me to a situation in the woods. So I would follow the cardinal and then just eventually lose it. Like, I would follow it, but it would seem like the cardinal was taking me somewhere. I'd go deeper into the woods with it, and then I'd lose him, and he like double backed and just would be over by the house again. So that I did 3 times, I think, side quests into the woods to figure out what the cardinal wanted, but it wasn't much. But like in the process, and when you go outside this house, I call it like the bird soundtrack. The bird soundtrack is on at all times. And it's like secondary now for me hearing that, because I'm so used to it. But people that don't live around the woods like this, and all these birds are not used to so much chirping. But anyways, I learned to like identify that cardinals call and chirps compared to all these other birds out here. I don't know. I'll continue to figure out why this bird keeps chirping and what I'm learning from it. But yeah, he stopped now. And yeah, I don't know now. He probably won't return for a while. It's like I say, it's not as much anymore. Um, he randomly just popped up and just started tapping, and I haven't thought about him in a while, a couple days. Um, I'll be cooking or whatever, and I hear it, and it's just like heard it so much. It's like hearing my cats or my dog or the goats. I'm used to it, I guess, and their antics. And that cardinal has some antics to him. In the beginning, he would tap from 5 in the morning to 9 at night when it gets dark. It was the beginning of summer where I live. I live right on a time zone change, and it stays light pretty late depending on if I'm using central time or not, the central time zone or the eastern. Okay, big tangents. I'm already eating up time. So I meant to be talking about wherever I left off yesterday, even though those I wasn't in I was talking about trying to live outside the matrix or something. And you know, it's cool idea and it's fun. It's a little difficult. You stay true to yourself and the course, it's definitely doable and it's advised. That's like the name of the game, possibly, is why you would be here to like try and figure that out, how to like listen to yourself and your connection to God and that relationship over all the rules of the world and the programming of the world, trying to tell you there's certain things you have to live by. You see certain rules. Um, those are the egregores, the belief systems. They're made by men and women just like you and I, and it's always been the name of the game. We humans, we try and interpret God and interpret what God wants us to do with life in this earth. And it happens for a bunch of reasons. It's not all nefarious. I think I was pointing out organization is helpful to get people to work together, play together, enjoy a shared space together. So, these are simple concepts like you don't unite the tribes, you get the little villages together. The villages can only have so much strength, in their small little communities. And that's cool. I think there's probably different ways to live. There's been different ways we collectively have been living on Earth, whether it's the big empire type of idea, or the cities, the big cities, or the rural areas. And like I just was explaining, and we're gonna go through more transitions of sorts. I got some ideas from some movies and just the general like pulse of where everything's at and going. There seems to be, I don't know how cut and dry it is, but ideas about the future. Some people will gravitate to the cities, and then other people will be trying to do exact opposite. And it's like the globalists, the people in charge are setting up the world, it seems like, to cater to that situation. Maybe getting into a point where these two different types don't even really communicate or work with each other too much. Maybe they even forget about each other. There's a movie, The Giver. A lot of people read that book with millennials when they were younger. And in The Giver, basically you realize the plot that's going on. Well, the main character is in a city, a futuristic city, where they don't have any books anymore, is the plot going on, and they're pretty content and confined to the city life and don't even think too much otherwise about what else is going on outside. One character does breaks that matrix concept, he breaks the idea you have to just be confined to the city, and he breaks the rules that were confining him to the city, and he goes and explores beyond, and he finds the woods. It's like that city was a real high tech, city, and the wildlife was lost, or only in their little gardens or however it was. And then when he got past the walls and past the furthest anyone had ever gone, he found the woods. And within the woods, there were people living in the woods, like I said, more primitively, you could say, or the homesteader type peoples. And if you look at the agendas of the future and how green they are, green oriented, and how they're on the back of the idea the world is dying and it's our fault, and we need to now step up our games to save it. And to do that, all this carbon emissions and reductions and things of that nature are at hand. These ideas we're gonna have to do arguably is gonna lead to like people living in an effort to support those theories. So like the tiny homes and using less. This blurs into like these smart cities that are already being 15-minute cities that are popping up. Might be a lot of that going on in the future all over the place. Kind of simple living in the cities, but not saying there's anything bad with that. The ultimate conveniences will be there, and the internet's getting cooler and cooler. Things I talked about, the delivery systems, all that's for certain people's, that's going to work out great. The city life is great for a lot of people. And then in the meantime, they're saying we're cutting off areas. Like you can look up like maps in the future, what they're predicting they're going to look like. And there's a lot of woods, like on tons of no-go zones. The United Nations is suggesting like areas people are not supposed to go. They're going to be left alone so the earth can heal or something. That's, I don't know why they will convince people to stay out, but they have these concepts coming. And so I'm gonna try and keep people out. Meanwhile, will that be an illusion? And there's going to be people actually there. Just the city folks aren't going to be paying attention. And maybe the cities are set up so the woods folks, can't get into the cities because of this or that, or some new convergence like the transhumanism type ideas of biodigital convergence. You might need a chip or something or along those lines to show you're part of the system, and they're gonna realize when someone isn't. For the Blade Runner type of person, the bounty hunter, the type of guy is gonna exist. If this plays out, I'm just spitballing here. Maybe you will have these guys that know how to like blend in and out, and that might be a cool job for someone listening to this in the future if you're trying to consider where you'd want to end up. If you'd rather end up in the woods or in the smart cities, but maybe there's hybrid roles, like Han Solo and Star Wars type of guy that can, or maybe Blade Runner, blend in and out and see both worlds. Maybe it won't be so cut and dry either, and I'm just making things up. It is the land of illusions. This thing about the big rules I've listed already. There's no new thing under the sun. I apply it to a lot of considering this or that. And then I was saying, like, were we talking about it 20 years ago, rule of thumb? And if we weren't, like, why are we talking about it now? And if we're like super focused on this new topic we're talking about, and it's like we're making it everything, what does that mean? You know, it means it's like at the center of our attention for a reason. I don't know, you know, I'm talking about ideas a lot of people are talking about and like passionate about and changing their ways over. It's like, is it a real thing that we need to be doing in the name of change and how this world works? Or is it a big idea with a lot of big influence that's suggesting you got to do something, change quickly, or else, and that's an illusion of sorts, and you're just following the trend. And I do that all the time. Everyone does that. It's nothing, it's the way of the world. It happens, but when you become aware of it, then you have a choice to like just keep following or do what makes sense for you. So a third rule that is a huge one. Again, not my rules. There's already out here. These maxims exist, but like believe nothing you hear and half of what you see. Edgar Allan Poe gets credit with that one, but a bunch of people do. I think Mark Twain does too sometimes. I think Ben Franklin might also, but obviously they're all sharing it. They were in their clubs. Those are just rules of thumb that you should have in your arsenal because they're really heavy. Half of what or nothing you hear. So anything hearsay, me right now, you're not supposed to believe any of it. Until until a point where you might grow to trust. But hearsay on the street, people you don't know, on the news, even in books and in writing, depending on where it's coming from, take it lightly. Like believe nothing you hear is the facts. Instead, always believe, okay, I'm hearing the side of the story, and I'm gonna keep it open-minded. Like there's no reason to react or have to take a side in so many things. That's the end of the conversation, the consent type of thing. There's so many tricks out here that you have to choose between blue and red when you don't. And yeah, whenever I go off my tangents, I kind of lose my flow sometimes. But believe nothing you hear is, yeah, it's big. And half of what you see is big too, because in the land of illusions, some people are pulling off lots of illusions. It's a game they're playing. Did I already say it's healthy also to kind of look at life more like a game than not? Part of the illusions, I don't know, the combos, with Davio, like the reincarnation stuff. Whether you take that on and believe it in a good way or a bad way is up to you. But there's always the idea of the spirit living on. Just that's always at bay. Isn't 21 grams is a concept that when a body is dead or just dies and you weigh it, it would be this weight. And then upon death, there's no more heartbeat. The breath is gone. It's official death. You weigh it and it's 21 grams lighter. It's like something left the spirit, the soul left the body. So there's always that concept that goes on. And then I would take it to, so you're always connected to God. You're connected to the all, the next thing. And so I don't know what the next thing is, but it's the next thing. It's not over. Living this experience in that body, I guess, is over. Now, if you're talking in terms of games, there's more games to be played. Like just because a game is over is not a bad thing. So, I am not here to devalue life. I think you're giving your life to live up the most, get the most out of it, and it can be hard. Uh, but you could apply some concepts to how you look at it all to make it a little bit more light, and then maybe you could break more rules that you weren't breaking and kind of learn to be more like that Neo character, bending this game to fit your needs and desires and the plan you made with God for why you're here. And yeah, so believe nothing you hear, and half of what you see is just a good reminder to think twice before you just go with the flow, go with the crowd. Because oftentimes the crowd is purposely being misled, or it's the way of the system, which sounds negative, and oftentimes is always looked at as it's a negative thing, but it's by design. Again, these are not ideas that I alone am saying. I was thinking about that book, The Four Agreements. In the beginning of the book, before it sets up these four agreements that would make sense that anyone could live by, it is setting up that we live in Maya, which it's like a Toltec concept. This book comes from Toltec wisdom, according to the author. And he's saying that Maya is how they describe the world in Toltec. And I think it was like, oh, dream world. They call it a dream world. I was gonna say land of illusions, but no, they were calling it a land of like dreams. Each person has an individual dream. And we're all living in this dream world together. And essentially saying this concept. So there's illusions out here according to people's individual dreams. And you can understand everyone comes down here knowing what they're getting themselves into. As a guy that plays a game kind of knows what the game is going to be played, or how, he knows what game he's getting into. He knows he's done it before to a degree. So if we're coming down here knowing like I'm trying to dance around where I was going with Davio and some of those guys. They want to complain for other people about disabilities and um, things that look like they're limitations to life that would make life suck compared to the next person that doesn't have those limitations. But you have to kind of let go of that. It's not for you to take on all of that weight and worry. You have your own stuff to take on and worry about. And what happens is everyone in their sweet spot accepts who they are with their limitations or lack of them or whatever. There's someone, these are all the stories of the people that do all amazing feats with one arm or blind or what have you. They don't seem to be the ones complaining. They make the most of their life. They usually are an inspiration, and so they don't really fit in with this complaining group of people that's like, why is life like this with all the suffering and things? I wouldn't have made life this way if I don't see why God would make it this way. It's just like it is that way, and I guess you're not able to comprehend it. But so everyone's dreams are different according to their body types and their cultures and the programming they got, and if they decide to break programming and adopt new programming, or if they live out the same programming they were given as a baby their whole lives. It's different options. And so when I said all that up to say, like, then there's different types of people that come, and just simply put, leaders and followers. There's more persuasive people and people with things to say, want to be heard. And there's people that don't need to be heard, don't have as much to say, don't want to take the lead, kind of just want to be generally showed the way or told what to do. And so that's where you get like rules and interpretations of God and religions. So you have these men and women that are more persuasive than the next. Their heart, their inspiration is to be heard and share things or what they come, and so to see to be true. Or, there's hopefully there's that type of person that is authentic and whatever, and then there's other people that put on that front. These are the wolves in sheep's clothing, and they have an agenda to like their persuasiveness and convincing the world, large groups of people, the mainstream, to see things in this way or that way, uh, for their reasons. And it helps the flow of everything if we just believe it's either this or this. That's why there's these concepts of duality. There's these concepts of the left and the right wings of the same bird being controlled by the crown. So whether it's like conservative or liberal politics or a million different issues where you can divide them, and people are seemingly on this side or this side of things. There's just the old concepts that say that's the best for conquering, and ruling over people. If they're divided, if they don't have the same values, they can be easily manipulated and controlled. And that's what goes on here on Earth. We all have different values. Even though we're one people as humans, we're divided into all these different concepts and values and egregores. And then we're controlled because of it. So, like I was saying, this is like a slow creep of just realizing this, understanding this. I think we're we're a whole nother matrix out from like being back in control. So it's just the beginning of talking this all out. This is reminding me of where I was getting tripped up in that last Zoom. I couldn't remember family. I was saying God nation. It's God family nation. And got a few different thoughts here. I'm trying to see where to go with this. But like, so the God family nation was egregores that kind of everyone had all over the world in this last age. And now they're dissolving. The younger generations are being taught all kinds of stuff that makes them not really value family as much, probably devaluing their nation. What's going on here in America. And God, yeah, I mean, that's been going on for a while. God is dead concept. It's been at play in the education systems for a long time, creating atheism and the polars there of atheism versus believing in God. Which in another tangent of mine, like whether it's God, the Western God, or another version of God, or what have you, belief is in something is good. It's fundamental, I think, to a strong human out here. So as much as there is to say about everything is beliefs and it's just men and women, and there's arguably there isn't ever this thing that we're taught it there is, where God came down in some form and told us exactly how to live and what to do. There's the illusion that happens, but the same maxims and rules that I've been pointing out to you exist that try and show you like it's the land of illusions. Don't We're telling you that's happened, but it didn't really happen. Really, you got to set up your own relationship with God, and you're gonna kind of understand how to navigate this world. But Moses learned from a burning bush, or this person learned from a dream. This person got a download. It's going on to this day. It's always going on. People are saying, I got this epiphany, this, something from God to share, and I got to get it out. People go live daily, and I've been doing that, but a lot of people, I kind of put some thought in it. I think I try to, at least, what I'm going to say here. I think sometimes people go live because, like, I just had this revelation and I have to share it right now. It just happened. This is what it is. And it's like, this is God. God wanted me to share this with y'all. I don't know. Yeah, if it's that, or it's just like you and your thoughts and your passion to share it. So how far will they go with creating an illusion to make you think it's something bigger? It's a direct message from God. I have the feeling they're going to go very far. They're willing to go very far. I have the feeling they have in the past too. Touchy waters to talk about. Maybe before I go there, I'll say this. In 2017, I gave my life to Jesus, and I got baptized in front of a church, gave a testimony, all that. Since then, everything has changed, and I view a lot of things differently than I did then. But my transformation is, I asked for it, and I asked, for help and to be led, and it's led me on this course of meeting people, having conversations I was never having, and yeah, really going deep, deep, deep outside the church and Christianity to look for more answers and discover more things. So I can navigate, fundamental Christianity mindsets to New Age mindsets, and try and make sense of it all for us here in these times. I think I'll just cut it there, try and reflect and see where I can bounce off of what I've just said today. Thanks for listening. See you next time.